Hi, Paul Ashwell here, Director of Coaching at St Ives Golf Club, Cambridge. So, some advice on chip shots around the green and how to strike the ball nicely. Quite an interesting way to consider this is that there are actually two hits involved. Obviously the club hitting the ball, but the other hit is how the club hits the ground. And if you can appreciate and learn to hit the ground nicely, it will really help you hit the ball nicely. So what we're talking about is the ideal kind of contact would be one whereby the club hits the ground right underneath the ball and the club hits the ground using the bottom or sole of the club correctly. So what we're referring to here, if you take a look at this is my gap wedge. The obvious feature is the loft. This is 50 degrees of loft. The secondary feature is the bounce, and that refers to the sole. It refers to the fact that the back edge or trail edge sits lower than the leading edge, and that's designed to stop the club from digging into the grass. It's designed to give the feeling that the club kind of skids along the grass without any dig or snag. So appreciating that is a good start point. So as a coach, what I sometimes see is that a golfer might be, for instance, trying to help the ball up in the air, and that golfer typically may be leaning back a little, they may be having the club laid back to find some extra loft, but often from that setup position they will accidentally hit the grass before the ball, and the bounce actually kicks in too aggressively and the club bounces off the grass and blades the ball over the green. The other end of the spectrum, if you like, is the golfer who appreciates that the loft does the work, that he needs to hit down onto the ball a bit, but often this golfer will be coming too steeply down. So he might be doing things like playing the ball towards the back of the stance, he may be leaning his body weight excessively forward, he may be leaning the handle of the club excessively forward, and in so doing he's negated the bounce. So when the club contacts the ground for this golfer, the club will dig or it will snag, and if that's your delivery style, the likelihood is that you get nervous about hitting the ground, and you're probably then trying to chip or pitch by kind of picking the ball off, and that introduces the chance of topping it or thinning it or blading it over the green as well. So the preferred style would be one that involved pretty narrow stance, where the feet are roughly the width of a club head apart, having the position of the ball pretty well in the centre or maybe even a fraction forward of centre, and imagine a line from the club head into the butt of the club up to your sternum is pretty well a straight line. You maybe position a fraction of extra weight, maybe 60% on the front leg, but from there get the feeling that with a nice passive wristed style you just kind of flatten the grass under the ball, and the ideal contact is going to be hitting the grass as you hit the ball. That was a nice one. Hope that helps. More guidance to follow.